Hello, welcome back to Baseball News and Views. My name is Mark, joined with Chris today. Chris, we're another week into the baseball season. How are we feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really liking the season so far. I'm liking the new rules. I think it's a nice flow with the games. They have cut off around a half an hour, I think, on average, but it's not even really about that. It's about more action, and you could definitely tell there's been more action going on.
Yeah, for sure. It's been very enjoyable, like we were saying previously. Just going over some recent news. I think it's been a pretty busy week, honestly, since we last came back. Most recently, to talk about, the Giants came out and gave Logan Webb a nice extension. I think that's a pitcher we both like. I think that's pretty cool that the Giants went out and they paid their guy. Now they have their ace locked up. I'm trying to pull up the exact numbers here. Do you know what the deal was?
I think they added 6 years to his contract, and I think
So it's a 5-year extension.
Yeah, and I think he had a year left after this one.
Okay.
Maybe 2 years left. But it was funny because I was actually looking at that around last week. I wanted to see where he was in his contract, like if that was a guy they were going to trade. But now that answers my question. He's going to be a Giant long term.
It's kind of interesting too because he's off to a very slow start this season. He's 0-3 with a 6 ERA. I think he has much better advanced numbers.
Yeah.
I think the Giants know what they have here in Logan Webb, but I think it's the timing's interesting, where it's like
early in the year. I guess these conversations are pretty fluid, so maybe it probably started when they were talking in spring training. I bet you that was when they started going, and then they kind of just finished up. They probably just kept that under the wraps. But I know he's a Sacramento kid, and he's from around there, so I think it's just where he wanted to be, and it's a good fit. The Giants they got to build something. They have actually the top left-handed pitching prospect in baseball. He's
Harrison.
Yeah, Kyle Harrison. I think he's on his way up now. He's in AAA, so he's struggling a little bit, but he could be a good building block along with Webb.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I think that's a team that you've always liked. I'm kind of indifferent about the Giants. I don't really have a feeling toward them one way or the other. They're in my National League, so I do have kind of a hope they lose vibe, but they're pretty harmless out west. Other news going on, Dell. I mean, last time we spoke, the Rays were undefeated. The Rays are still undefeated 1 week later. I know you kind of have some feelings toward this. Well, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's definitely impressive, but they're playing horrible teams. They are playing terrible teams. I know the differential. Everyone's talking about the run differential, but I mean, I don't really know. They go on this streak in July, and everyone's like, "Oh, the Rays won 12 in a row." Like they look good. I really want to pause the talks that they're the best team in baseball because you still look at that lineup and you're like, all right, this lineup is going to get managed by good teams. Good teams could manage through this lineup pretty easily. Everyone's looking at their pitching, which they do have good pitching, but they really are facing minor league players. They're facing minor league players. I'm sorry.
It's a give and take. I mean, it's ridiculously impressive going 13-0 versus anyone.
Yeah, it is. Going on a 13-game win streak is very difficult. It doesn't really happen much in the regular season. When someone does, it's crazy. But especially given the time early in the year, it's going to get a lot of hype. They're playing the Blue Jays this weekend. We're filming mid game, so they're actually losing right now. But I mean, the old saying is you can lose a division in April, but you can't win one. And I think that's a prime example right now with the Rays.
Okay, so you're still anticipating them to slow down.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're not going to win at this extent, but I mean, they built themselves such a nice cushion now that say they play 500 baseball the rest of the way. That's a really good season.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it'd be 12 over. So what is 12 over?
13 over.
13 over. That's not bad.
All right, so that's not amazing, but
that's what I mean. It's still early.
That's in the thick of the playoffs, though. 13 games over,
especially in today's baseball.
It's right in the mix for the playoff spot.
500 makes the playoffs.
They're going to be above 500 the rest of the way.
But I think they were going to make the playoffs regardless. I don't think there was any doubt that the Rays, Yankees, and Blue Jays are going to make the playoffs. But
maybe they set themselves up now to win that division. I know it's too early to say, but maybe they put themselves in the position to do so.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely helping themselves, but I don't think you really look at the standings till Memorial Day. I know people are going at me on Twitter about, the Yankees are 5 out. I'm like, 5 out.
You shouldn't be looking at games 13th, back at this point. That's not something that we have to do.
You can't be doing that until, I always said Memorial Day, and that might be a little bit early, because every year you kind of, as the year goes on, I think it's usually like a dog days of August, where we both kind of sit there and we're like, man, this year's long. We're like, baseball season's long. You're just like, you forget what happens in games, which is crazy because every game
you watch them all.
We watch every game, and they all have their own microcast. Like everyone has their own thing, but you just kind of forget about games. Which actually, what I wanted to talk about was just quickly, the Yankees got killed by the Twins last night.
Yep.
And I was kind of sitting there, and I'm like, It's actually kind of nice. I actually don't. I don't mind getting blown out. I'm like, you have to reset the pitching. You DFA one of those low end reliever guys. I do love a firm handshake and a DFA. I am a sucker for that. But it's kind of nice getting blown out. Not all the time. It's good every once in a while where you don't have to like sit there and like hang on pitch by pitch.
It was tough for the kid though. The young kid Brito who had a great start to his career and just like that,
it happens.
He wears a 8 earned run spot.
We'll see how he bounces back. His main pitch is his changeup, and he was throwing a ton of that in the first 2 starts, and he couldn't really locate his fastball. And the Twins said we're going to sit changeup, and they sat changeup. And what you were saying with the juice balls, I think last night was like I was like kind of like, oh wow, some of these balls are really getting out right now.
I don't know if you saw Julian, their prospect, the
leadoff guy.
Like, what? His home run was kind of ridiculous. It was opposite field, it was a little poke job. He hit it. I was watching the game. I thought it was a little fly out, and it just kind of kept going and going. It was a warm night.
It was a oddly warm night in April, but even Correa's. He went opposite field. Like, I know it's Correa and he does that, but I was like,
and it's right field at Yankee Stadium.
What's going on right now? It was weird.
It was weird. But moving on, one last thing I want to touch on with the Rays here. Not all good. They lost Springs, their pitcher here. Jeffrey Springs is probably at about 2 months now. He has some type of nerve damage going on. It could be worse than 2 months, but they're saying it's probably at least 2 months. It's an injury I never heard of when they said it. They called up Taj Bradley, another top prospect. They have a factory down there, pitching prospect.
They sent him down though.
They sent him down but then he got hurt. It was the day before then he got hurt. He came up for Zach Eflin, and then the next day Springs got hurt. So I think he'll be retroactive. He'll come back up.
The Rays are known for running their guys into the ground. If there's one thing negative you can say about how the Rays are run, it's that they do run their arms into the ground.
They don't really manage their guys
because they don't care. Though.
It's weird because sometimes they really do, and sometimes they really just let it fly. Like
sometimes they do with guys that they care about. With their prospects, they do. But the other guys, they know the relievers that they're not going to pay. They knew they weren't going to pay Nick Anderson.
They'll run them to the ground.
They ran them right to the ground, and that's kind of what they do. Mm-hmm. If you're a guy who they have faith in and they think is going to be there, like Snell, Snell's infuriating to watch to begin with, but they'll baby you. Mm-hmm. But if a guy like Springs just comes out of nowhere, they're going to run that guy to the ground.
Yeah, it's a good point. 2 more kind of big surprises I just want to touch on with you, kind of gauge your interest right now. First one, Aroldis Chapman in Kansas City. I'm not sure if you've been following at all. He looks to be like back to his like elite levels. He's not like 102. The slider's back. He has good control. He's like a 9-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio right now. And I think there's going to be a really interesting conversation if he keeps this up for the trade deadline because a lot of teams are going to want this guy.
Yeah, I think this is definitely the goal for Kansas City when they got him. But other teams won't think like this, but I just can't trust him to pitch in big games. I really just can't. I think he's a head case, and I think he'll probably go right back into his head in a big spot. I think pitching in Kansas City with no pressure at all fits him perfectly. I think that's the perfect space for him to pitch in. When he was in Cincinnati, he thrived too. Doesn't really pitch in big games, but kind of just throw hard.
But, he had some great years for the Yankees.
He did. He did have some great years with the Yankees, but I just wouldn't really trust him. Because there was times last year, too, where his stuff looked really good. It was like, he's throwing 103 again.
But I think his big thing last year and the year before, he's kind of been all over with the walks. Like, he really did not really have it. Again, it's like a 5 appearance sample, but you see the 9 strikeouts to 1 walk ratio, you love it.
You love it, yeah. It's true. You do definitely love that because that was always his problem. I want to see more of that, though. I wouldn't get too crazy about that yet, but that's definitely the goal when they signed him was so they could trade him.
Yeah, definitely. And I think he'll probably start getting some more saves there. I know Barlow's their kind of closer, but I think it's kind of a fluid situation. Royals don't win a lot of games anyway, but I think you showcase him more in the ninth inning.
Yeah, they got to run that save tally up.
You get him some more saves, get the trade value up, and it's a guy that I'd love to see the Mets get right now, just the way he's looking. Of course, it can change very quickly, like we were talking about.
I would not trust him.
He can go out there his next appearance, walk 4 guys, throwing 97, and it's like, all right, well, there goes that. But for right now, he looks phenomenal. He kind of looks like one of the most dominant relievers in baseball again. So it's something to monitor. One more surprise here. Is this the year of Jared Kelenic in Seattle? He looks...
I actually wanted to talk about that too, so I'm happy you brought that up. He looks amazing.
He looks really good.
He looks really good. And the thing about him is he's 23. He's
he was probably unfairly scrutinized and written off.
Way too unfairly scrutinized. He's literally 23 years old. Mm-hmm. How many guys are still in Double-A when they're 23? Aaron Judge didn't come up until he was 24, 25. He's 23 years old. He had some tough times in the MLB. He couldn't really hit a curveball. He couldn't really.
He's still pretty much all fastball, but I mean, he's crushing fastballs.
Yeah, so he's learning.
The strikeouts are still up, but I mean,
strikeouts are up, but
got a lot
people
of
strike
home
out
runs
these days, and he's hitting for a lot of power. He's not only hitting home runs; he's hitting bombs.
Yeah, he's another one. I always say, if you can get the strikeout rate down to like 26%, you can survive.
Yeah, you can survive in this league.
You can't be above 30. It's just it doesn't work. It doesn't unless you're Aaron Judge. He's not even 30 anymore. But like unless you're like a guy who hits the ball so hard every time, then your BABIP is inflated if you hit the ball that hard. But you just can't really survive with a strikeout rate that high.
No, and I think I'm actually really. I think he's gonna have a great year. I wish Frank dropped him in our fantasy league. I was gonna pick him up right away. I tried to bait him into dropping him on PlayStation. Yeah, I was like, yeah, you have a lot of guys you could drop like Kelenic, but he didn't drop him. Credit to him. Yeah, I think if he really figured it out, him and Julio, that's game changing for the Mariners because that's something they had that, and that's something we didn't think they were gonna have. You know, we thought it would just be Julio, Teoscar, France. So that'd be a big addition.
Yeah, I mean, if he gives them 250 for a batting average, I think that's plausible with 25, 30 home runs and chips in 10 steals. That's a really good player.
Yeah, that's a really good, especially for a good team.
Yep, and I think he's still platooning, but I'm sure they'll give him some more opportunities against lefties. I don't know if he should or not. I guess we'll kind of see.
I think I should baby him into it.
Yeah.
I think I should baby him into it. Oh, is that Rogers Center looks different this year.
Does it? Just the lighting?
Yeah, no, they changed the walls, it looks like.
I think they did have some renovation. They moved him in a little bit.
Yeah, they did. Of course they moved him in. They did something, but it looks different. But anyway, yeah, no, Kelenic to that lineup, even if it's a platoon option, that's something that they didn't have that they do now have, and it's looking pretty good. And I'll tell you what, something who doesn't look good: the Angels.
I mean, the Angels don't look good, but they're actually 7-5. They won the last two. They lost a really, really bad game to Washington the other night that got me really frustrated to watch. It was like Pat Corbin was the starter for the Nationals. Pat Corbin shouldn't be winning a game in 2023, let alone a game against Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. But that's baseball, and I think the Angels went on to win the next two and win the series. But
they're a gross 7-5.
Yeah,
if you watched that Blue Jay series, that was disgusting.
I watched that last game where the Blue Jays wound up winning that crazy.
The Blue Jays won that game.
Easter game.
Easter, yeah. The Angels were up 6-0. Blew that, came back, and lost.
Yeah, it was a pretty ridiculous game to watch, but it is so early. They don't look amazing, but you know what? Houston's starting off really slow at 6-7. Texas is actually 7-5, which is pretty cool. They lost Corey Seager just now for about a month.
Yeah, great.
With his hamstring, so definitely, he's their best player. So losing your best player for a month is definitely not going to help out. But maybe they can kind of like withstand the damage. Just talking about that, we touched on the AL West there. Seattle's 5-8, another really pretty poor start there. And then Houston's Oakland's 3-10. Don't talk about them at all. But kind of unexpected start here. I think we're pretty sure Houston's eventually going to overtake this still.
I think they might have just swept the Pirates, did they? They definitely beat.
They won 2 out of 3, I think.
2 out of 3.
Yeah.
Okay. But they they'll jump ahead of that. None of those teams are looking too good.
Yeah, and then we'll just check up on all the teams now. I'll go into the Central quick. Twins in first, 9-4. Guardians 7-6, and then the rest you don't have to talk about. I think really quickly it became a 2-team race in the really, really early.
Yeah, I think last week I said it. I mean, I don't want to say a week later. I mean, the White Sox are a joke.
I was pulling for the White Sox, but no, I watched them a few games this season, and what is going on with this team?
I think that's what it was. I think I just watched them out of random more than you did going into that week, and I was like, nah, man.
I think I was more confident.
Because when you don't watch them, when you don't watch the White Sox, you're like, the team could be good.
They have a lot of players.
You look at the box score, you're like, all right. But then you watch them, this team is...
They brought Eloy back today. That will help. But I don't know how much it really matters.
He'll be hurt in 2 weeks.
I mean, Kansas City and Detroit, don't have to talk about them. Obviously, it's one game. They crushed the Yankees and put up a 9 spot in the first inning. But I was pretty impressed by everything I saw on this Twins team. I was really impressed. I feel like they had a pretty deep lineup, 1-9, and I was just like, they have some good players here. You talked about earlier, they're going to DH Buxton now and play Michael Taylor out in center field, which I think that works. You're not losing anything defensively, and you're keeping Buxton in the game. It could work.
Yeah, I think the Yankees actually just played the Guardians and the Twins, and I mean, the Twins are definitely a better team. I mean, I know last week we're on record saying that the Guardians are going to win the Central just because they're safe, but I don't know, man. That lineup is pretty bad.
Yeah.
That's Colton Brewer and Ian Hamilton carved through that lineup. That lineup is pretty bad. And the Twins, if this pitching holds, which is a big if, it's definitely a big if.
I'll tell you what, Pablo Lopez has looked awesome. coming over
Yeah,
from
but
Miami.
you know the problem with him is, like, I love him. He's always on my fantasy team. Last year, he started so good, and then he just fades. And if you fade on a good team, you're kind of...
It's noticeable.
Yeah, it's noticeable, and it's not even worth it. But, I mean, their division's bad, so a good start. If they start the year with a crazy record, they could win the division.
I think you're right, though. I think he was like a borderline all-star last year, and he finished with like a 3.7 or a 3.8.
But he always does that. He always finishes with a 3.7, like around there. So that's why last year when he started like this, I was like, oh, this guy's the man. But now it's kind of like, let's see what he does throughout the whole year.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to help him that he's pitching in the AL Central, because the AL Central is, all right, Franchi. The AL Central is pretty bad. There's no other way to put it.
That'll help him. It's a more balanced schedule, but he'll still get the Royals and the Tigers a ton. Just checking in with the AL East. We already talked about the Rays. Yankees and Blue Jays 8-5. Baltimore 7-6. Boston 5-8. Not much to talk about there right now.
No, it's pretty par for the course, besides for the Rays being undefeated. I mean, the Jays and the Yankees records are fine. Like, as a Yankee fan,
I expect them to win around the same amount of games this year. So it's not that surprising to me.
8-5 start. The Yankees have some injuries, haven't looked great, but at the end of the day, in April, it's just about accumulating wins. That's the way I like at April baseball. I don't care how we look, just win the game.
Okay.
Get the record, like, stabilized. You always want to be around 500 when April ends. Get your guys back, and that's it. I don't really care how you look in April. That's you start looking at that in, like, August, July. Like, oh, all right, we can do this in the playoffs. Like, anyone talking about the playoffs in April is crazy. Like, I always say, oh, this won't work in the playoffs. I'm like, it's April.
Yeah.
It's like
the good pitching debates and all that.
Yeah, it's stupid. Even Boone on John Boy's podcast talking Yanks, but honestly, it's been a great listen. Aaron Boone on that show.
You really like that. So is Romano.
Romano said it too.
You both told me very good things about it.
It's been great. It's like Boone actually is like answering the questions. They're asking him like. They're not sucking up and being like, they're like asking like real questions, and he's giving real answers.
It's a cool atmosphere because you don't really see guys like that with their guard down in such a way. And I'm actually really surprised it was the Yankees who did that.
Yeah,
like,
so am I.
That seems like not them at all. That seems like if we saw like the Pirates do that or like just like a random team, and be like, oh, okay, sure. Like a New York team doing that, especially the Yankees who like,
you would not think
the way they hold
would do
themselves
that.
up.
But it's pretty awesome. Like, the way he goes in the decision. He's so straight up there. Like, he's like, they asked him, they're like, what do you, like, when you're making April lineups? Like, do you figure it in? He's like, yeah. He's like, honestly, I just try to get guys to play. He was like, guys on the bench, he's like, I'm going to throw them in April. He's like, I'm going to give guys breaks. I'm going to do that. He pretty much, like, didn't say it doesn't matter in April. Like, as he said, it mattered. But he was saying, like, it's more about getting guys reps. It's more about doing that. And it's pretty interesting, with the things he says and, like, why he makes decisions. I know there's a lot of decisions that could be made, and he defends his decisions, and he makes them sound smart. It's definitely give him respect for going on that show and doing what he does. And they're doing a great job, too. John and Jake do a great job asking the questions.
Okay, very good. Nice little plug there for John Boy Media as well. Talk about the National League real quick now. Go out west right now. First place, Arizona Diamondbacks, 8-5. Very early. They're a young, exciting team. It's fun.
It is fun, and they're like... There's part of me that's like, they can keep this up. There's a part of me that's saying, like, I mean, they don't really have any pitching at all.
It's gone, Stanton.
That's big for fantasy. They don't have any pitching at all for me, but, like, I mean, they have Gallen. They have some guys, but it's fun. They have a good lineup.
You got to recognize and stop pitching Madison Bumgarner. If you want
to win, we don't know what the thing is with them, you don't know what their intentions are. I don't know what they're trying to do.
I mean, I think there's more of a focus on development.
On rebuilding than development, yeah,
versus winning right now. But with that being said, you're 8-5. I mean, it's so early, but it's an unexpected start to the season. Madison Bumgarner's been terrible for like 3 years now. I think maybe he's not happy about it, but I think he's a guy, if you tell him you're going to the bullpen, you're going to be a lefty guy.
I think he would do it.
He would do it.
I think he would do it.
He might put up a fuss. He might do, but like, they have some big prospects. Dre Jameson just joined the rotation. He looks very good. They have Ryan Nelson. They have Brandon Pfaadt. They have a lot of guys now that are better than Bumgarner.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, we do say it's April, so it's early, but they look good, though. You know what I mean? There's a difference. There's a difference. They look like they could win. They look like they could.
They're fast. They're fun. They're very good defensively. They play a fun style of baseball. They have some power, not a ton of power.
No, and they have young guys who are supposed to be good, who are playing well. And if nothing comes of it at all this year, and they're still a year away, they're going to be an annoying ass team to play for a team that's like going for the playoffs. A team like the Dodgers, a team like the Padres. You're not going to want to play the Diamondbacks. You're not going to want to play them in September. You're not going to want to play 4 games in Arizona in September. A team like the Mets, like another NL team. You're not going to want to play them.
No, probably not.
They're a good team.
Also, you mentioned the Dodgers 7-6. They're 1 game behind. Padres 7-7. Tatis had a 3-homer game in AAA. I think he's probably ready to come up.
Yeah, he's coming.
I think he's about a week away from that, maybe Tuesday.
I think
or Wednesday?
It was 10 days coming into this week, so yeah, it's probably a week away. But he was. The thing is with the West, it's always been the Dodgers are the best team. They're going to be that. The Dodgers do not have the best team anymore. That lineup is not good. It's not good at all.
Hey, if you're the Padres and you get Tatis back being like 2 games back, you love that.
The Padres, they got to be the heavy favorite.
Manny started off very, very slow, and Tatis isn't there. That's kind of why I feel like you look at the team and it's not really like they're not really playing well because Manny's off to a slow start. They're missing Tatis.
And it's early.
It's early.
It's just they're
Musgrove's out. They have a lot of stuff going on. Stell's pitched terribly. They're just not really in midseason form yet.
Early in the year means more for bad teams than it does for good teams.
That's fair.
Good teams, it doesn't really mean much. The Padres are going to be there. But I think it's kind of like putting the pen to the paper. Like now that it's one thing to see the roster in the offseason and be like, oh, but like you see the lineups every day. The Dodgers lineup is not good. It's really just not good.
Yeah, we talked about it even last week where we said it's going to have to be Mookie and Freddie literally carrying this team. I think Max Muncy was doing the carrying this week, but
yeah, of course.
He's not a guy that you really... He's streaky. He's a streaky power hitter. We know what Max Muncy is at this point of his career. He's going to hit like 230. He's going to hit 30 home runs, but it's going to be coming in bunches. Right now he's on a heater, so it is what it is. But overall, NL West, it's fun. Watching Diamondbacks, hopefully they keep this up. Going out to the Central now. The Crews in first, still 9-4. The Pirates 8-5. Really tough blow, losing O'Neill Cruz this week. He fractured his ankle. Devastating for me. He's on my fantasy team.
Yeah, pretty high pick.
But honestly, for baseball though, because this guy,
it's a guy you want to watch.
He's 23 years old. He's 6'7". He's breaking all these like Statcast records with how hard he throws, how hard he hits it. It's a tough blow. I feel like everyone roots for the Pirates. They're fun. They're innocent.
Yeah, and he's a guy you want to watch. He's a guy baseball fans want to watch. Like, I want to watch O'Neill Cruz play baseball. And we can't.
Yeah, no, it's...
And he's probably done for the year. He's going to come back.
4 months, but, like, at that point, they're going to be, like, 20 under, probably. Like, you're not going to push this guy.
And the man broke his ankle.
Is he going to run when he comes back? Is he gonna, how is he going to, like, recover from this? You just got to hope it's not a long-term situation. Like you just said, I think he's probably done for the year. He might come back in August or September, but at that point, why even do that? Maybe just give him a few at-bats at the end, but...
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not really... It's just sad. It sucks. Then you look at the Cubs, 6-5... It's fine. I think they'll probably tread 500 most of this year.
Yeah, they're gonna be around there. They got a funny roster. They kind of just have a bunch of like castaways and like Dansby Swanson.
The Reds 5-7, and then the Cardinals 5-8 in last. So they're 3 under, so it's not like it's absurd, but it's like it's not a great start there.
They have like no pitching.
No,
which is interesting.
Miles Michaelis, they gave a nice hefty extension to. He has looked terrible this year.
They're the only team that he looks horrible. The only team in that division that wants to win. But they might not win because they're not good. But no one else in the division wants to win right now.
I will say, though, just give him his flowers. Jordan Walker, he lost his hit streak yesterday, but he started off his career
he starts out looking really good.
A ridiculous... He's 20 years old, a 12-game hit streak. That's awesome. It's really
crazy.
Really, really cool. We talked about, not O'Neill Cruz, we talked about Tyler O'Neill a little bit.
Yeah.
Has some issues with the manager. He sat out one of those games in Coors. So
he'll be the next guy traded.
He'll be traded for sure.
Bader.
Yeah, no.
They just, every year they get rid of guys. Tommy Pham, Bader.
There's so many guys. There's so many guys. We'll just wrap up quick here with the East. Braves 9-4 as expected. Mets sit at 7-6 right now. They're going out to Oakland. I think they should sweep them.
Yeah,
so it should look a little bit better next time we're talking. The Fish are 6-7. Phillies 4-9. That's a tough start.
Yeah, you can't win a division in April, but you can lose one, and they're doing that right now.
There you go again.
But they're hurt. They're hurt.
They're very hurt.
Yeah.
Interesting news was Bryce Harper possibly playing first base upon return to get back sooner, which...
They need it.
I don't see why he couldn't.
Why not? It's Bryce Harper.
He hasn't done it before, but he can definitely go catch the ball at first. He could DH a bunch, play some first base. I'm sure at some point they'll get him back out to right field, but if you get him back sooner, then it works.
Yeah, and they could use that. and if they're going to fight for that 6th wild card spot, no, that 6th playoff spot, because that's what we'll be doing. The Braves and Mets are going to be way ahead of them.
I'll tell you what, though, things can get real interesting if Arizona keeps playing like this.
It can.
We kind of ruled them out. They weren't one of those teams we were talking about. We were kind of saying
stupid by us.
We were kind of saying like Crew or Phillies. Even like, I mean, I don't think the Cubs really, but even I wouldn't be shocked if the Cubs are better than the Phillies.
No, the Cubs are going to be. I can see the Cubs being. I can see them being.
They can hang around.
Team. They have veterans.
They have young guys. I think they have a good blend. They have some prospects who could probably come up and help out too. But yeah, that's just a little bit of our update there, what's going on in this week. Anything else you want to touch on? Any big news you wanted to chat about or discuss?
Anything else? What else we got? Oh, who just hit a home run?
Kyle Garlick.
Come on, man. Just more so, I think, like we're saying, you can't get too blown out of proportion with bad starts and good starts, but I think it means a lot more for bad teams to start good than it does for good teams that start bad. I think that's my takeaway from this episode.
Okay, yeah, no, it's definitely it's fun, and it's both like an exercise, and it's both you got to keep yourself grounded because we love to do this. We love to overreact, we love to discuss things, we love to watch baseball every day. But obviously, it's 162, and we got to bring ourselves back. We got to realize teams go on runs, teams go on stretches. They get magnified because it's so early, like you were saying with the Rays being 13-0. But we know we do have to kind of brace ourselves, and it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. It's such a long season, and it's only April 14th. Crazy. It's actually crazy how long the season is when you really think about it. It ends, what is it, at October 1st?
Yeah, but we love it.
Yeah, I love it too. There's nothing I would trade for a full baseball
season.
DFAing
poor Colton Brewer.
I
can't believe you had a rant about how you love getting blown out.
I like that. I would rather get blown out. Oh, is this game tied?
No, it was a replay. And on that note, I think it's a good time to end this episode. We'll come back next week. Come up with some more topics to discuss. I'm sure there's always so much activity. Everyone plays every day, so it's a good time.
Yeah, another good time, another good week. And I love talking about it every week.
All right. Thanks for listening.